Welcome, Minnie Collins here for the Rabbit Hole Designs. Today we're going to create this lovely fall card. Let's go with the products I used to create this card. First is our stencil. This is called the Falling Leaves Stencil, which is TRH1052S. And I will, of course, have it linked for you below. So it's got a variety of fall leaves on it and the mask. And today we're going to be using our mask to fill in the areas we're not going to be coloring in. We'll also be using You've Been Framed die set, and this is TRH197D. We're going to be using that to cut our background layers. We'll be pulling in the Warm and Cozy stamp set, which is designed by Agoda Pop, which is TRH210, and we're only using it for the sentiment, which reads Warm and Cozy. We have a piece of cream cardstock, which I already have in my stamp platform. We're going to use our Cottontail anti-static tool because we'll be embossing our sentiment. So if you're not familiar with our tool, this container has the brush, and on the bottom you put the anti-static powder. You pump it 3 times, just like so, to get the powder to go into the brush area. Then you remove the cap. And now the dust, or the powder, the anti-static powder, is in your brush, and you can place it onto your project. And now none of your embossing powder will stick to wherever the powder has been applied. To close it, you just pull up the little mechanism here, put the cap back on, push that down, and it's closed. And now your powders are contained, and your brush is kept clean. We will be using VersaMark Ink, which is in embossing ink, a clear sticky ink, along with Ranger's Detail Gold embossing powder. I'm going to bring in a large variety of distressed oxide inks for coloring our leaves, and some Imagine Crafts sheer shimmer craft spray in gold. I'm going to use this to put some little gold flecks or splatter or spatter or whatever you want to call it onto the background here. So I'm just getting everything cleared out of my way. I have already done quite a bit of die cutting and such. So we're going to be creating our background on craft cardstock. So I have a piece of it at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I've already die cut our maroon or red cardstock. And I have my card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's 110-pound weight. The layering cardstock is 65, and the craft is 110. So here I've already accomplished my leaves, and I've die cut it just to save us some time. But I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Just a quick snip of how I did it. We're going to start by clearing everything off, and we're going to start by stamping and embossing our sentiment. So as you saw, I already prepped my anti-static, my panel with the anti-static tool when I was demoing the tool. So I know my panel's ready to go. I have my sentiment, which reads Warm and Cozy Wishes. I placed it into the stamping platform. I'm inking up the sentiment with VersaMark sticky ink here, or embossing ink. I'm going to do it twice. I know you can't see it because it's a clear ink. But trust me, it's there. I can see it. Normally I demo when I emboss with black ink so you can see it on screen, but this time I just wanted it to be just as I usually do. So I'm going to put some embossing powder on here, shake off the excess, realize I missed a spot, put a little bit more, and then I'm going to have my heat tool, which I have off to the side here, and I'm going to bring it in, and I'm going to heat up our sentiment until it's completely melted, so it's even, no longer looking grainy. How do you know this? Because it goes from a matte, grainy looking appearance to a nice, smooth, glossy appearance, no longer matte. So nice and smooth and glossy or shiny. So there you go. So I'll heat it up. My camera, the lights are really bright. Sorry about that. If I don't have bright lights, you can't see what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set that to the side to cool off. And I'm going to bring in our stencil. like I said, this stencil has all the little masks for all those leaves, and we're going to utilize them this time. Excuse me. So to use them, all you're going to do is use a little bit of adhesive or removable tape, and that's what I'm using right here, some Scotch removable tape. I put some on the back of my cardstock to hold my stencil in place. So I'm going to look for the little mask that fit this little leaf. I'm going to tape it in place. That way when I ink up the leaves next to it, no ink will get on those leaves. So I'm going to repeat the process for a couple of them. I'm going to decide which one I'm going to start with, and then I'll mask off the ones I'm not going to ink up. And I'm not going to do all these right now. I'm just going to show you a quick little sampling of what I did so you can see how easy this is to do. Now if you were doing all of these in the same colors, you won't need your mask, but I'm planning to change colors in between my leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and get, I think one more down here, and then we can start inking. Okay, I lied. There we go. So I want these leaves that are here exposed. Those are the ones I'll be inking up. And grab all my extra masks so I don't lose them. So I'm going to bring in Distress Oxides here, and I will have them all listed below. I use so many of them really quickly. So I have dried marigold, it looks like wilted violet, and it looks like that might be rustic. No, that's not what that one's called. Lumberjack plaid. Alright, so I went ahead and I'm doing 2 shades on each leaf. So as you saw, I started with the dried marigold, and then I went to the lumberjack plaid. So I'm going to bring in another color here, a little bit of that wilted violet. So I'm putting like 2 to 3 colors, and I'm trying to blend them in between. Now you could, like I said, you could do these all one color or 2 shades, or you can go ahead and do 2 or 3 colors, and as you can see, there it is. Not all the area stayed clean, but our leaf is now perfectly done. Now we're going to continue. I'm going to line this back up. I just moved it just to show you. Now I can remove, if I can get it up, that mask, and then I can place the mask for the other leaf in there. And now I can go ahead and color the next one. So now I have carved pumpkin, rustic wilderness, and ground express, no, gathered twigs, I'm sorry, gathered twigs, and I'm going to fill in the next leaf. So this is a fun, easy, and it's pretty quick. It may not seem like right at this moment, but it went by really, really quick. Because all you're doing is placing the stencil, covering it, running some ink, removing those, put it down the next one. And if you put pixie spray on the back of all your masks, you can just put them down. You won't need tape to hold them down. I thought of that afterwards. Sometimes, you know, in the moment you don't think of that. But I'm going to continue. Just a few, I think one more to show, just to show you the process. And then here I'm just going to go ahead and add, just because those are the edge ones, a little bit more ink, just to show you, you can just blend them out. Alright, those are done, and I repeated this on the entire panel, as you will see. Then I'm going to go ahead and show you, I brought in the sheer shimmer spray. Now this has like mica powders, and they always settle on the bottom. Just give it a nice good shake. You can use the nozzle, or you can go the way I do. I just stick my paintbrush in there, stir it up, and then this is a fine detail like a 0 or a 1, and then I just stir it and then flick the paintbrush, and that's how I get my splatter. So that's basically what I did to the entire panel. Once it was completely dry, then I ran it through the cutting machine to get that beautiful edge. So here it is, complete. There's all the detail, and now we can build our card. So I just wanted to quickly show you how easy it is to use our stencils to create a beautiful background for your cards. So first I'm going to quickly grab my small die cutting, yeah, not die cutter, my trimmer. I don't know, I'm losing my mind here. And I'm going to trim my sentiment down. And I'm going to put a little slant. I tend to do that a lot lately. I'm going to have to break out of my little comfort area. But I'm going to go ahead and trim that down. And then I am going to bring in a little bit of gold cardstock to mat my sentiment. It just needed a little bit of something. So that little shimmer cardstock right here is going to be just enough behind the sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. And then I will use some foam adhesive to add our sentiment. So I'm going to grab some Barely Art glue here, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere our little sentiment to that shimmer cardstock. And then I'm going to trim back all of this so I have a nice little all the way around, just a little bit of that gold showing through. It just gives it just a little better finishing touch. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. And like I said, I will foam adhere this to my card. I will use Barely Art glue to adhere all of my layers of my card together. So I'm going to grab my foam scissors here. I keep a pair of scissors just for the foam cutting. These are Fiskars titanium. They keep things non-stick to it, basically. So here we go. Now we're ready. We can go ahead and start adhering our panels together. So I use, like I said, that you've been framed dies to cut each of these panels down, and they nest beautifully. There are three nesting dies with the little details on them. It's like a dash detail. In the die set, so I used the two larger ones. Then I'm going to adhere this card front to my card panel. I'm going to attach this card panel to my card front. And now I'm going to place my sentiment and add the finishing touches of, this calls for confettis, gold confetti. And I'm just going to add three small, or yeah, small and medium little confettis here, one by the sentiment and two down here in the little, and that's it, because I think I don't want to take too much away from the background. I mean, we spent all this time making it. I want to show it off. So our card is complete. Again, we use the following: the Falling Leaves Stencil, which is TRH1052S. We use the You've Been Framed dies, which is TRH197D. The Warm and Cozy stamp, which is TRH210. And the Falling Leaves stencil with the mask made this so easy. A variety of distress oxide inks, some sheer shimmer craft spray, and some VersaMark ink along with some embossing powder, and our Cottontail tool. I know I rambled a lot off right there. I will have everything listed for you in the description box below. Here's a close-up of the card. Thank you for being here, and I hope you found some inspiration.